Now, on the cost side of things, can you run us through some of the biggest price hikes you've seen over the past little while?
Well, I think it's interesting, and I think the NBA referenced this last week, that when you talk about inflation running at, say, 6%, now you've got building costs on average in the last 12 to 18 months have gone up 35%. So that really puts it in perspective. And I think one of the things that your show's really done is when we talk about Larry the lettuce jumping from $3 to sort of $6 to $12, if we humanise it and let's call the house behind me Harry the house, you think about everything that goes into this house gets touched by human hands. So there's so many moving parts here, and the tradespeople that work on all these homes across Australia, they're the ones buying the lettuce at $12, they're the ones that are filling up their utes at $2.40 with diesel these days. So those costs need to be passed on, and that's what we call the direct labour costs associated with the house. So then the second part to that are the materials. So we all know there's been issues with supply chains across the board, and that again pushes the prices up.
In terms of, and I like Harry the house, that's going to stick around. In terms of builders wearing some of those costs, because of course so many builders offer fixed price contracts, and when you've got that kind of price hike happening in a year, that's a really difficult thing to price in. So how are builders going financially? Are they managing?
Well, I thought it was interesting that you've got the peak body representing accountants across Australia coming out, so not aligned with any industry, but they're saying, hey, there's a real problem here, and these, we're talking about good builders, great businesses, and Atondo Homes, like we're exposed, we've got 58 builders that work in our network across 5 states and 1 territory. So believe me, we're all over this and we see it. So when a peak body comes out and says, hey, there's something wrong with the system where you've got good builders facing huge financial pressures, and I think something needs to be done about it, and all we're sort of suggesting is there needs to be an open dialogue with industry and with government. This is a federal issue. It's not a state-by-state issue. It's a federal issue. And we've seen that the new government's come in and a new broom sweeps clean. And they're committing to housing, affordable housing, looking after the industry, looking after the consumers. I think there needs to be a really good open dialogue about the issues that the industry's facing.
To try to keep those big builders and the little builders afloat, is that what you're saying?
Everybody, this is, and that's a great point, Ashlyn, this is not selective. This is affecting every building company, big or small, across Australia. No one's immune from the issues that we've faced, and we've never faced this before, so our industry is not unique. We're in the same boat as everybody else, and it's something that needs to be done.
Hey, speaking of being in the same boat as everyone else, everyone is struggling with worker shortages at the moment, but there seems to be a little bit of good news in that there's been about a 17% jump in apprentices compared to 2020. But what are you seeing on the ground? Are you seeing more apprentices come through and stick around?
Yeah, so what we're seeing, there's generally a turnover. I think the figures that were brought out the other day by the vocational research mob, when they talked about the fact that you've had an increase in apprentices, but that was also tempered by the fact that you had a 38% decline in either cancellations or withdrawals. And you're talking about the top 3 here, which are plumbers, electricians, and then carpenters, chippies. So they're your top 3. But what we're missing at the moment as well, which usually gets supplemented by migration, are your your tilers, your other wet trades there, your bricklayers. These people are in short supply, and normally these positions get filled by interstate or overseas migration. Now, interstate migration's out because we had all our border closures, but every state in Australia is experiencing an uptick in housing.
Craig Gemmill, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Ashlyn. Stay warm in there.